Salutations, this is Crazed Kitsune, aka Khuma'zi Tayuun, and welcome to Ninja for Dummies level 50. In this video, I will be attempting to explain the basics necessary to play Ninja and not be a massive disappointment to the party because you're just a massive otaku. Anyway, with the introduction over with, how do you become a ninja? Well, to become a ninja, you have to start out as a rogue. And then, you need to get Rogue to level 30, and you have to complete their final class quest, which is available at level 30, and you have to have completed the main scenario quest, Self-Management, which is level 20. If you meet all three of these requirements, then the job quest to unlock Ninja will be available to you. Next up, what is a ninja? Well, as you can tell by the rather nasty-looking knives in my hands, Ninja is a melee DPS. Their primary stat is Dexterity. Wait a second. I thought melee DPS used Strength. 3 of them do. This one uses Dexterity. So you're going to want as much Dexterity as you can get your murderous little sneaky hands on. Apologies for any clicking in the video. That's me muting my mic because my nose and throat hate me, so I need to deal with some phlegm. Anyway, with that little bit of basic information covered, hello tiny little red mage. Let's move on to actions and traits. Since Ninja has a base class, they have class actions. But we're starting in traits. At level 6, Ninja acquires Dripping Blades. This increases the damage dealt by their actions by 5%. Other jobs get a larger increase. This is because Ninja is surprisingly powerful. At level 14, they get All Fours. This reduces the amount of damage they take when falling. Yep, they take less fall damage. As expected. At level 20, they get Enhanced Dexterity, which gives them 8 more Dexterity, so they do more damage. At level 20, they get Fleetfoot, which makes them move faster. Yep, they're the only class in the game that has an increased base movement speed. That's actually kind of amusing and fitting. And at level 36, we have Dripping Blades 2, which increases the damage you deal by 20%. Still not as much as the other classes get, but that's because Ninja, again, is surprisingly stronger than you think. And then at level 40, you get your last trait up that you will have at level 50, and that is Enhanced Dexterity 2, which increases your dexterity by 16. Further increasing how much damage you inflict on the poor, unsuspecting victims of your murder knives. And now for Rogue's actions. At level 1, you have Spinning Edge. This is a global cooldown weapon skill. It costs 50 TP and it is potency 150. It's a pretty basic box standard attack. At level 2, you get Shade Shift. This is a 2-minute cooldown that will create it creates shadows that will nullify physical damage, up to 20% of your max health. Also, if it doesn't absorb that much damage within 20 seconds, it'll just fall off. At level 4, you obtain Gust Slash, another global cooldown weapon skill. It also costs 50 TP. It has a base potency of 100 and combos off of Spinning Edge, going up to combo potency 220 when you do. At level 10, you acquire Hide. This is a 20-second cooldown. Once activated, you will become transparent and you will move slower. Most enemies will not be able to detect you, but if they are 10 levels higher than you, or they have special sight, they'll see through it. And if you're already in combat, you can't activate it. The effect ends upon using any action, including Hide. It also resets Ninjutsu recast timer if you're not in combat. So If you're about to go into a fight and your ninjutsu is still on cooldown, pop hide to get it back, I guess. At level 12, you acquire Assassinate. This 40-second cooldown is an execute. You can only use it if the enemy is below 20% of their maximum health. And it will deliver a potency 200 attack to the enemy. If I'm remembering correctly, unless they changed this skill does carry some risks. When you use it, you teleport onto the enemy's face and stab them in the head. This does carry an animation lock, and if they're doing an AoE in front of themselves, you'll get hit by it. So be careful when driving knives into people's heads. At level 15, you have a class quest which rewards you with Throwing Dagger. This is a global cooldown weapon skill with a TP cost of 120 and a potency of 120. Why would you ever use this? Because it has a 15 yalm range. If you can't be in melee range, you can use this to continue doing some damage rather than none. You can also use this to attack things that die instantly but will also explode, so you can try to be out of their range. Also at level 15, we have Mug, which potentially is also given by a class quest. I can't remember, it's been a long time. This is a 90-second cooldown that delivers a potency 140 attack. And it will also increase the chance of additional items being dropped by the target if Mug is the killing blow or is used immediately before the killing blow. I believe this effect does not work in dungeons. At level 18, you acquire Trick Attack. This is a 60-second cooldown. It is a potency 240 attack unless you use it from the target's rear, at which point you're using a potency 400 attack to stab them in the back. It also has a bonus effect if used from the rear. It will increase the damage that victim takes by 10% for the next 10 seconds. You can only use it while you are under the effects of Hide. At level 26, you get Aeolian Edge. This is a global cooldown weapon skill with a TP cost of 40. It has a base potency of 100 and a rare potency of 180. It combos off of Gust Slash, meaning it is part of the combo Spinning Edge, Gust Slash, and then Aeolian Edge. Its combo potency is 260 or 340 from the rear. So you will be using this as your primary means of dealing damage, occasionally throwing out Mug for some bonus damage, since it's an off-global. At level 30, you have your final class quest, which will reward you with Jugulate. Doesn't that sound brutal? This 30-second cooldown will deliver a potency 80 attack that also applies a 1-second silence. So if you are in need of silencing things, you're going to want to hold on to this. But if silencing is not important, weave it in for a tiny bit of extra damage. Every little bit helps. Just remember, don't waste it or use it in fights where you need a silence, and it wasn't necessary to silence at the time. This will cause problems. At level 38, you acquire Shadow Fang. This is a global cooldown weapon skill with a TP cost of 40. It has a base potency of 100, and it combos off of Gust Slash, meaning you use this in place of Aeolian Edge? Well, yes. Sort of. Its combo potency is 200, and it applies a potency 40 damage over time that will last for 21 seconds, meaning the Shadow Fang combo has a final total potency higher than the Aeolian Edge combo, but only if the damage over time is taking its full effect. Otherwise, you're doing less damage. But it also reduces the target's slashing resistance by 10% for 21 seconds. What this means is you open with your Shadow Fang combo, then you do a couple Aeolian Edge combos, and then you do Shadow Fang combo again to refresh the damage over time and the slashing debuff so that you continue doing maximum damage with Aeolian Edge and making the enemy bleed slowly. And the final skill you acquire as a rogue only is Death Blossom. This is a global cooldown weapon skill that costs 100 TP and has a 5 Yalm radius around you. It is a potency 110 AoE attack. So if you're fighting lots and lots of enemies, you're using Death Blossom. If you're fighting only a couple enemies or just one, don't use Death Blossom, it's horribly weak. And now for the job skills. This is where Ninja gets a little bit complicated. You're going to find out why in a little while. Upon becoming Ninja at level 30, you unlock 2 skills. You unlock 10, which allows you to make the Ritual Mudra hand gesture for Heaven, which will remain in effect for 5 seconds. It shares a recast timer with Ninjutsu, and also the mudras Chi and Jin, which you can see there in levels 35 and 45. It has a 0.5 second recast time, meaning when you activate it, Ninjutsu, Chi, Jin, and Ten all take a half second before you can do anything else again. The other skill you get is Ninjutsu. This is a 20-second cooldown. It will execute a specific ninjutsu, matching the mudra combination you have input. If you use anything other than mudras before you use ninjutsu, then the ninjutsu will be a failure. You will summon the Mysidian rabbit. Or as some people like to call it, the F-bunny. The recast timer begins upon executing ninjutsu or your mudra timer runs out. At level 35, you get Chi. Though at this point, I'm going to quickly shift up here. Once you have your first mudra, you can start using Fuma Shuriken. This is a ninjutsu. It has a 25 Yalm range, meaning it is a ranged attack. In fact, it has caster or ranged physical DPS range rather than the usual melee ranged range. How many times can I say ranged in a second? Anyway, it's a potency 240 attack to a single target and can be used after any one use of 10 Chi or Jin. If you use 10 twice, well, you have a failed ninjutsu, say hello to the bunny. Once you have acquired Chi, you can perform Keiton by inputting the combination Chi 10. Keiton is a potency 250 AoE attack with a radius of 5 Yalms, meaning it will hit your target and everything within 5 Yalms of it. It has a 15 Yalm radius, unlike Fuma Shuriken. But it is more powerful, so even on a single target, you're using Keiton instead of Fuma Shuriken once you're level 35 and above. Oh, sorry about that. I forgot to mute my mic. At level 40, you obtain Shukuchi. I probably butchered the pronunciation of that. This is a 20 Yalm range, 60-second cooldown that allows you to quickly move to a specified location. You can't use it if you're bound in place. Be careful when using it, because while you're moving, you're still considered as occupying that space, so if an AoE goes off in your path, well, you're in pain. Oh, hold on. Oh, right, if you use 10 Chi, you can also perform Raiton. So you can either use an AoE once you have Chi, or you can use a single target, which is potency 360. They both have the same range, and they're ninjutsu, so you can only use them once every 20 seconds. And the rest you cannot use until you are level 45. And acquire Jin, your third and final mudra. 10 is Heaven, Chi is Earth, and Jin is Man. By combining these three things, you can get various effects. In particular, you can combine 10 and Jin, or Chi and Jin, to perform Hayotan, a potency 140 attack, with a 15-second bind. There may be times where this is useful. In most situations, you're going to want something other than Hayotan, because it's damage is nowhere near worth using. And then we have these 3 final ninjutsu that all require the use of all 3 mudras in certain orders. Starting with what is arguably the most important ninjutsu of them all, Hyuton. This gives you a 15% haste effect that lasts for 70 seconds, meaning you activate this and then you have a couple ninjutsus you can throw out before you have to use Hyuton again. So you will have to be paying attention to your Hyuton timer and remember to use Hyuton when you're starting to run low, while also making sure to use the correct ninjutsu for the situation. Single target Raiton, multi-target Keiton. Which means you do have to remember your ninjutsu combinations. And there's quite a few of them, as you can imagine, since there are 3 different ninjutsu that just use 2. And then there are 3 ninjutsu that each use 3. Hyuton is executed by using Jin Chi 10 or Chi Jin 10. I have it set up with Jin Chi 10 here, and this is also useful for another ninjutsu we'll get to shortly. But next up we have Doton. This is a 5 yalm radius plate AoE. It'll sit there and just keep doing damage as long as it remains in effect, and it lasts 24 seconds, meaning that you can technically infinitely refresh it. Its potency is 40, meaning I can have a phlegm attack. No. Meaning that its total potency is, I believe, let's see, every 3 seconds, so that would be times 6. So its total potency is 240? That seems wrong. Wait, no. It would be 8 times 8, not 6. What am I thinking? That would be 8 seconds. So its total potency is 320. If it gets its full potency effect, it has a potency of 320. Meaning it's still not as powerful as Raiton on a single target, but on multiple enemies, it is more powerful than Keiton overall, as long as you can trust the tank to sit everything's butt inside of it and keep them there. Which means you're going to not only have to remember the combination for this, but know whether or not the tank is going to position the enemies and hold them in place correctly so that you can keep them trapped in your murder puddle. It also applies a 40% heavy effect as long as the enemies are inside of it. To perform this, you use 10 Jin Chi or Jin 10 Chi. As you can see, if you want to have Hyuton's combo easily lined up, you can't have this one's combo easily lined up. So you're going to have to remember to either go Jin, then 10, then Chi, or 10, then Jin, then Chi on the setup I'm using. If you decide to use the same one. But let's move on to the final ninjutsu, Suiton. This, like Keiton and Raiton, has a 15 yalm range, and it will deliver a potency 180 attack. Why ever would you bother doing this? Because it also grants you the Suiton effect for 10 seconds. Suiton is like having Hide, only you can have this in combat, allowing you to use Trick Attack. You use this on bosses since as soon as the tank pulls, you have Hate and you're knocked out of Hide. So ordinarily you can't Trick Attack a boss, unless you use Suiton. To execute Suiton, you need to perform the combination 10 Chi Jin or Chi 10 Jin. Notice how I have my mudras set up. Jin Chi 10 is Hyuton, but 10 Chi Jin, the exact reverse, is Suiton, making it easy to remember those two. It also makes it easy for me to perform a Raiton because Jin Chi, or a Keiton because Jin 10. I can just start with Jin and then switch over. Or I could go for Chi 10, but it's harder to remember to go to the bottom and then the right instead of left and then right. At least for me. My brain is weird. Anyway, or any hoozles as some people would say, let's move on to the final skill you will have available to you at level 50. Kusatsu. This is a 2-minute cooldown, which will reset the recast timer of Ninjutsu and ensure that your next Ninjutsu will be a critical hit. Its effect lasts for 15 seconds or until you fire off a Ninjutsu. So, what possible uses would you have for this? Well, one possible use is on a boss. You would run in, hit them with Suiton, hit them with Trick Attack, activate Kusatsu, then hit them with a guaranteed critical Raithon while they're taking extra damage, and then proceed to start doing your rotations. This may not be optimal, but it's at least better than horrible, and what I tend to do. I'm not the best ninja out there, and I never claimed I was. Anyway, with all of that covered, let's move on to the role actions. As a melee DPS, Ninja shares their role action selection with Samurai, Monk, and Dragoon. Upon unlocking a role action slot, it appears to be permanently available to you even when level synced to below the level it is unlocked at. And once you have learned a role action, you can put it in a role action slot and have it available to you at all times. As long as it's off cooldown, obviously. At level 8, you unlock Second Wind. This is a 500 potency self-heal on a 2-minute cooldown, and its healing potency is affected by your current attack power. So if your attack power is currently being increased by something, you will heal yourself harder. At level 12, you unlock Arm's Length. This is a 60-second cooldown that will make you immune to knockback and draw-in effects for 5 seconds by creating a barrier. If this barrier is struck, then it will apply a 20% slow for 15 seconds, hopefully to the thing that hit you. At level 16, you unlock Leg Sweep. This is a 40-second cooldown that will apply a 3-second stun. If you need a stun, you're going to take this. If you don't, well, you don't have to take it. At level 20, you get Diversion. This 2-minute cooldown will severely reduce the amount of enmity you generate for 15 seconds. This can be very useful for avoiding embarrassing situations in which something turns around and punches you in the face instead of continuing to beat on the tank. At level 24, you get Invigorate, a 2-minute cooldown that will instantly restore 400 TP. You're going to need this in prolonged fights or AoE heavy fights, since Death Blossom is expensive. At level 32, you unlock Bloodbath, which is strangely appropriate for this job. It is a 90-second cooldown that will convert part of all physical damage you deal for the next 20 seconds into healing. At level 36, you unlock Goad, a 3-minute cooldown with a 30 yalm range. This is used on party members. You can't use it on yourself. But if you use it on a party member, it will give them a 30-second TP refresh, regenerating their TP. I recommend you have this so you can help out your teammates. At level 40, you unlock Feint, a 2-minute cooldown that will reduce the target's strength and dexterity by 10% for the next 20 seconds. You use this to help reduce the damage of a physical tank buster that's about to happen. At level 44, you unlock Crutch, a 90-second cooldown that will remove bind and heavy effects from a party member other than you. So it can be useful for helping somebody escape some kind of terrifying murderous death trap. And lastly, at level 48, you unlock True North, a 2.5-minute cooldown that will nullify all direction requirements for your actions for the next 15 seconds. So you don't have to care about trying to get the rear bonus for Aeolian Edge, or the rear bonus for Trick Attack. You just need to hit them with it at that point. It obviously has its uses, but I prefer to actually actively go for my positionals in order to just keep it all going in my head that I have to do it. As you can see, I only have 4 roll actions currently slotted in because the 5th slot is more than likely something that will change based on what is needed in any given fight or duty. But with all of that covered, it's time to get to the demonstrations. So let's go say hello to some striking dummies and get stabby. We're going to be playing with these guys for a little while. But first, let's see. Well, they can't attack me, so I'm just going to show off this skill, Shade Shift, which is flashy at least. And oh, they're not going to be doing any attacks that I have to dodge, so that's as far away as you can move with Shikuchi. Whee! Remember, during transit, you still exist. You aren't... So, if an AoE goes off along that line while you're passing through, it can still hit you. Enmity management isn't going to be an issue in this fight, so let's show off Diversion. I can't use Goad on myself, so I can't show that off. Let's see. Weakling. Okay. So, let's see here. Oh. I can't demonstrate hate while that thing hates me. Or hide while that thing hates me. Okay, it doesn't hate me anymore. You can't see me! I'm so sneaky. Look out, I'm behind you! Yeah, that was hide. Pretty basic. Here's Mug. Give me all your stuffs. Here's Jugulate. I cut your throat! I'm just trying to get their health down low enough for me to demonstrate Assassinate now. There we go. Wata! Yeah. It still animation lock teleports you onto their face, so still be careful. Throwing Dagger. Death Blossom. Oh no, they all hate me. Alright. Yeah, that's your Spinning Edge into Gust Slash into Shadowfang, and here's Aeolian Edge, complete with rear bonus. Okay. Uma Shuriken! There. Alright. Now... Boop, boop. Burn! Let's see what to do while I'm waiting, because I'm not going to use Kusatsu until I'm demonstrating a boss opener maneuver. So, well, I guess I can just wait. Now, let's demonstrate right on. Beautiful lightning. Beautiful, beautiful lightning. Well, I guess while I'm waiting, I can just do a little blade dancery. Now, I believe it was 10 Jin. Yep. Pelton! You no can't move! Doo-doo. I should have saved Mug and Jugulate for after I had done Shadow Fang, in order to allow it to do maximum damage. Alright. Now that that's shown... right. Do, bada boom! That is something that I like to do at the start of a boss fight. It may not be optimal, but it's what I do. You don't like it? Too bad. I'm not aiming for optimal because, seriously, there are too many things for me to know, and Ninja has a lot you have to remember. But that was Suiton, and, now, Doton was Chi-Jin 10, right? No. Whoops. Yeah, I can never remember Doton. Well, I'm gonna go look it up. Doton. Tenjin Chi or Jintenchi. Right. Jintenchi. Some people like to call this the pea puddle. But that's almost all of the ninjutsus demonstrated. With that, I'm going to attempt, and possibly fail miserably, at demonstrating a basic rotation complete with ninjutsus and cooldowns. Watch me fail. So, first up, Yuton. I'm doing surprisingly well so far. I think I'm going to lose Huton, which means I screwed up. I shouldn't have done what I did there. Yep, I lost Huton. But that was other than the failure of losing Huton, which you should never allow to happen. That was a demonstration of the basic rotation of Ninja. You use your Shadow Fang combo, you would, using your ninjutsus, remembering to not do anything else until you have used up the ninjutsu. Oh. I did not demonstrate... You know what? This is actually my most expensive skill. So, I'm going to be throwing daggers at this thing for a little while. Okay. Invigorate! There, I demonstrated Invigorate. There's only one thing left for me to show off. Bunny! Yup, that's what happens when you screw up your mudras. It's adorable, but is also humiliating to have a bunny suddenly appear and hop on your head because you screwed up trying to do something impressive. Anyway, the basic rotation for Ninja is that you will start with your Shadow Fang combo to apply your damage over time and your slashing resistance debuff, and then you will start doing things like weaving Mug and Jugulate in, and throwing out your Aeolian Edge combo, which you can do twice before having to refresh Shadow Fang. Weaving in your ninjutsus, which you can do in the midst of a combo. I could have used Spinning Edge and then done a ninjutsu, such as activating Huton mid-combo, in order to maintain my Huton. In general, if you're getting down too low, but I'm just going to see how long... Let's see. Tenjin Chi Yoton. I'm just checking to see how many ninjutsus I can do safely. It looks like, yeah, you can get off 2 ninjutsu after activating Huton before you will need to reactivate Huton. But I do like to have confirmation. Yep, so once my ninjutsu comes off cooldown, I'd have to refresh Huton. Maintaining Huton does become easier in post 50, but we'll be covering that in a later video. For now, all you need to remember is to use your Shadow Fang combo to open, then your Aeolian Edge combo, while using Jugulate and Mug after you've debuffed the enemy, and throwing in your ninjutsus whenever they're off cooldown, and always remembering to maintain Huton if you are at least level 45. If you're doing AoE fights, well then you're obviously going to be tossing out Death Blossoms and Katons galore. But I've covered everything. Possibly embarrassed myself spectacularly, but whatever, I felt like making this video. And it was fun to play Ninja again for even a little bit. I hope this video has been informative and helpful. If it hasn't, well, watch your back. Until my next video, goodbye.